What's up, peeps? So it's like 3:30 in the morning and I can't sleep, so I'm laying here in my bed and I'm just thinking about stuff. Actually, I had this thought from earlier today while I was, of all places, handling my business in the bathroom. Oh my goodness, just get random thoughts during random situations. And I recorded it, because I needed to get the thought out before I forgot. And I was gonna kind of upload it as is, but I'm all for, transparency and whatnot, but I think there should be a cap to it. Oh boy. I think some of you may agree with that. There should be a cap to how transparent a person is on YouTube. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But anyway, again, a thought that has come to my mind having to do with the law, because that seems to be, my trending thoughts as of late. But there's scriptures in the Gospels of are they called the Gospels? Matthew, Mark, Luke. I don't know if it's in John too. I know it's in Matthew. I believe it's in Luke. I don't know if it's in Mark or John, but anyway. Remember when I believe someone asked Jesus what was the greatest of the commandments? And Jesus responded, you love the Lord with all your heart, mind, soul. Excuse me, I'm just paraphrasing. And that you love your neighbor as yourself. He said all the law and the prophets hang on those two, I don't know if you would call them ideas, concepts, what have you. All of the law and all the prophets rest on those two things. That's the 10 Commandments and the other 600 whatever laws and commandments that there are. Now, my question is, have you, or anyone who's listening to this, have you ever, always, I'm not even going to say from the time that you were born until whatever age you are right now, I'll say from the time that you got saved up until right now, have you always loved the Lord with all your heart, soul, mind? And have you always loved your neighbor as you loved yourself? Now, if you're honest with yourself, the answer should be no. If you're honest with yourself, you haven't. Now, even if you don't want to be honest with yourself, the Bible already tells us that there's no one that's good but God. There's none that does righteous. No, not one. So whether you are honest with yourself and us is irrelevant, because the Bible says that there's no one that's good, and there's no one that's good, and there's no one that's righteous, because no one has ever kept the law to the standard of perfection that God requires. So even when Jesus, I don't know if you guys can see my air quotes in the dark here, even when he quote unquote dumbed down all of the law to just 2, no one can even keep those two, right? And even if you were able to keep one of those, at least one, for a time, it wouldn't be enough. It wouldn't be enough. And let's say that you were able to keep both for a time, but you slipped up at one point. Then you're guilty of all the law. So, again, this is why we need something outside of ourselves and beyond our own abilities that will keep us and preserve us and make us righteous in the eyes of God. We need that imputed righteousness that comes upon us when we put our faith and trust in Jesus and in Him alone. Anything outside of that isn't good enough, you know. So I really want us to really think about that, because I've made videos and I've seen people kind of mention that in the comments section, and not just in my video, other people's videos as well. And these are, you know, believers. These are true believers that are grace only believers, not lordship salvationists, not works-based salvationists or believers. But then they'll add that comment, you know, that all of the commandments are hung on those two points, that you love the Lord with all your heart, mind, soul, and that you love your neighbor as you love yourself. But we're not even able to keep those two. We're not. And anyone who says that they do, that they have always, they're not being honest with themselves, and they're definitely not being honest with the Lord, in my humble opinion. And it even goes beyond my opinion, because like I said, the word tells us that there's no one that's good except for God. There's no one that's righteous. There's no one that seeks after God. You know, all those things. So, just keep that in mind, guys, that the law shows us that we're not able to keep the law, and we are required to keep it, but we can't, which is why Jesus died, which is why He shed His blood, which is why He suffered the way He did, why He was resurrected. All that He endured and did was to reconcile us back to God, and to justify us. And yeah, I think that's it. And I can't sleep, and I'm gonna try to go ahead and edit this as much as possible so that it doesn't have to be 10 minutes long. We'll see what happens. Anyway, God bless you all, and have a good, I can't say have a good night because it's already almost 4 o'clock in the morning. So have a great morning, folks. Have a wonderful Sunday. God bless. Bye.